Ball. We missed yesterday because of the weather conditions here and the power was out, so I apologize for that. But today we're fully ready. Everything seems to be working. It's the 28th of May, Tuesday, 2024. So we'll have a kirtan. And today is the tirobhava of Ramananda Raya. Very, very special day. So we'll see how we go with presenting him and how long that will take. Otherwise, we'll come to Jaiva Dharma as soon as possible. We'll have a kirtan first. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari O Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari 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 Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari O Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari O Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, oh Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, oh Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai. Oh Jaya Sachi Nandan Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachi Nandan Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachi Nandan Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachi Nandan Jaya Gaura. Oh Jaya Radha Madana Mohan Radha, Madana Mohan Radhe, Radha Madana Mohan Radha, Madana Mohan Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe, Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe, oh Radhe, 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 Radhe. Jai Shishi Guru Garanga Ganhavika Giridhari Radha Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai Himbarisha Bhana Nandini Bhajeshwari Radharani Ki Jai Nityananda Rai Ki Jai Satchinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Surabhi Kunj Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astotar Shishimat Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astotar Shishimat Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astotar Shishimat Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Jagat Guru Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astotar Shishimat Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Paramahamsa Mahabhagavat Srila Gaura Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Jai Saptam Goswami Srila Satchidananda Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. Jai Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Jai Srila Baladevi Dibhushan Gaudiya Varantara ki jai. Jai Rasik Siramani Srila Vishnath Chakravarti Thakur ki jai. Jai Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Treya ki jai. Jai Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami ki jai. Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Shibata Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasa Raghunath Sat Goswami Prabhu's ki jai. Jai Swarab Damodar Rai Ramananda Gauda Parsada ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem Sikahol Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Shri Gauda Bhakta Brinda ki jai. Shri Antadvip Mayapur Simantadvip Gautrandvip Madhyadvip Koladvip Ritudvip Janadvip Modandvip Rududvip Atmaka Navadvip Dham ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Go Govardhan Dwarasa Vardmatmika Shri Braja Mandal ki jai. Shri Radha Kund Shamakund Ganga Jamuna Devi Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shrimati Vrinda Devi Maharani ki jai. Shrimati Yogamaya Punamasi Devi Maharani ki jai. Shri Gopishwa Mahadev ki jai. Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra ki jai. Ketra Mandal ki jai. Shri Nrsingadev Bhagavan ki jai. Shri Bhakti Prabha Shri Prahlad Maharaj ki jai. Jai Chari Dham ki jai. Chari Sampradaya ki jai. Chari Acharya ki jai. Akara Mataraj Shri Chaitanya Mat ki jai. Shri Keshavji Gaudiya Mat ki jai. Shri Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samagat Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gauda Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Om Agina Timirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Guruve Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Shtapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Kriya Sarupe, Daita Sarupe, Prema Sarupe, Sahajabi Rupe, Nijana Rupe, Prabhu Eka Rupe, Tatana Rupe, Swabila Sarupe, Anapita Chirim Chirat Kuranavartino Kalo, Samadapaitam Unnata Ujvala Rasam Swabhakti Shriyam, Haripurata Sundara Tutikatamba Satipita, Sada Hridare Kandare Spadatu Vasachinandanaha, Yam Pravajantamanapetyam Apeti Krityam Dvaipaino Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putre Titam Mayatayo Tarabo Binidustam Sarvaputam Ridim Munimanatoshmi Bhaktiya Vihina Aparada Lakshay Shiptas Chakarmadi Tarangamadye Kripa Mayitvam Sharanam Prapana Brinde Namaste Charanada Vindam Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhurashmitasyam Vadami Radham Karuna Baradram Tato Mamanasti Katyana Kapi Tavaivasmi Najivami Tvaivina Iti Vignaya Radhe Tvam Mayamam Charanantikam. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my beloved Gurudev Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarzara Shishimad Shila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again millions and millions of times unto the lotus feet of our beloved Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarzara Shishimad Shila Bhaktivedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada. And again I'm offering my Dandavat pranams to our dearmost Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchitananda Namine Gauda Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Paraite, and all the assembled Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees and all the illustrious personalities in our Guru Vargya, my Dandavat pranams, and all the Vaishnavas. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubevacha Patitanam Papivyo Vaishnavena Namaha. So today is a most auspicious day. It's the tirobhava of Srila Ramananda Raya. Ramananda Raya is Vishaka in Krishna's pastimes. And we understand this from the very beginning. And his particular relationship with Mahaprabhu is extraordinary. Mahaprabhu has manifested to taste Radha Bhav, to taste her glories, to taste the sweetness of the love that she experiences receiving from Krishna directly. So this Radha Bhav is like not awakened in Navadvip prominently. It's there in the in the Ras Leela pastimes of the Sankirtan Ras in the Yog Pit in the last year in particular, while Mahaprabhu was present in Navadvip. But that Radha Bhav hadn't risen fully to fruition until Mahaprabhu comes to the Godavari on his South Indian tour, when he first of all comes to Jagannath Puri, and then almost straight away after a month or two, then he takes off on his South Indian tour. And he says to everyone that he's looking for his brother, Vishwarup. That's what he tells. But Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who has now become convinced of Mahaprabhu's divine personality and identity, because previously Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was a great Brahmavad, a great Mayavad philosopher. And King Prataparudra, he took him into his court because he was such a elevated scholar of Mayavad, of Sankhya philosophy. He followed the Sankhya Bhasya, so he was very potent. But then when he surrendered fully to Mahaprabhu, he convinced Prataparudra, who was like his disciple more or less. King Prataparudra was like the disciple of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, that he also should surrender to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And at this time, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he mentions to Mahaprabhu, who's just about to go on his South Indian tour, there's a wonderful person called Ramananda Raya. And previously, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya didn't have any real connection with Ramananda Raya, because Ramananda Raya had always been a Vaishnava. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was not a Vaishnava previously. So previous to Mahaprabhu's coming to Puri, they didn't actually have any connection. But as soon as Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya embraced Vaishnavism, then he realized what a great personality Ramananda Raya actually was. Ramananda Raya is one of 5 brothers. Their father is Bhavananda Raya. And Mahaprabhu called them like the 5 Pandavas. And all of the brothers, they all have, there's Vaninath, and there's Gopal, I think, Patanayaka. Different brothers are mentioned there in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, these 5 brothers. Now when Mahaprabhu goes traveling, he comes to the Godavari, and he takes his bath in the Godavari, and then a huge procession arrives at the same time, simultaneously. And there's drums, there's so many brahmanas chanting Vedic mantras, etc. And there's this personality being carried in a palanquin, very important personality. This is the viceroy, or this is the governor of this state. It's actually Madhya Pradesh. It's this King Prataparudra's kingdom was very vast at that time. So Rai Ramananda had he was the eldest of the 5 brothers of Bhavananda, and he had a very high post in the kingdom. And then they meet there, and immediately Ramananda Rai, he recognizes the divine effulgence of this personality. And Mahaprabhu, he also recognizes the speciality of Ramananda Rai. And they have a very ecstatic meeting, but then Mahaprabhu has to control himself because he realizes these brahmanas, they're shocked that here's a sannyasi in the renounced order. He's embracing someone who is of the Kayashta class, a lower class. Ramananda Rai was of a lower caste nature, not high caste. So the brahmanas were critical in their minds. So Mahaprabhu didn't continue that warm meeting, but told him to come back in the evening in plain clothes with just one servant, which he did. And then we have the most beautiful description of this Ramananda Rai Sangvad in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And we should understand, just from a material point of view, that Ramananda Raya is about 40 odd years old, probably 42 or 43. Mahaprabhu is 25 years old. Mahaprabhu leaves Navadvip when he's 24. He arrives in Puri when he's 25. So he started his South Indian tour when he's 25 years old. So materially speaking, Ramananda Raya is older than him, but this is just a nimitic aspect of it, but just to get a picture of these two personalities. So Mahaprabhu is carrying this potential for this Radha Bhav to manifest, but as we've heard so many times from our acharyas, that for this Sakhi Bhav, which is what Mahaprabhu wanted to taste, he wanted to taste Radha Sakhi Bhav. It has to come from someone who has that Sakhi Bhav. So who is Ramananda Raya? He is Vishaka in Vrindavan pastime. So he has the potential to carry that. So Mahaprabhu, in this particular conversation, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati comments that without this Rai Ramananda Samvad, if you pull the chair out of it, you won't be so inconvenienced. Without this Rai Ramananda Samvad in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Chaitanya Charitamrita would not have a heartbeat. This is the heartbeat of the whole Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is our principal shastra in this age, is this Chaitanya Charitamrita. So the heartbeat of it. Why? Because it goes through and describes all the different stages and steps on the way to Radha Bhav. All of these doors are opened, and Mahaprabhu is asking all these questions in a beautiful exchange. He's asking the questions to Ramananda Raya. He's saying to initially, what is the highest objective in human life? And then Ramananda Raya, he proceeds to give 5 principal stages of development of the human birth. And he starts off with Varnashram system, Varnashram Dham. He says this, Mahaprabhu says, no, Ahobai, go further. And then he comes to Nishkarm Karma Yoga. And then Mahaprabhu says, no, go further than this. Nishkarm Karma Yoga, we understand, is an elevated stage. It's when you give everything you've got to Krishna. That's a very high stage. But the defect of that stage is that you think, I am giving everything that I own to Krishna. In contrast to the bhakta, who thinks everything is already Krishna's. So Nishkarm Karma Yoga is inferior to Shuddha Bhakti. If you have 2 people giving donations in a donation box, one is a Nishkarm Karma Yogi and the other one is a Shuddha Bhakta, then the distinction is the Nishkarm Karma Yoga gives $100 thinking, I am giving my $100. Whereas the Shuddha Bhakta, he thinks, well, this already belongs to Krishna, so he's just returning it. So that's a distinction. So it's a defect though. Mahaprabhu could see that. And then Sharanagati. And then Mahaprabhu also rejects this. Sharanagati is about you. It's not about bhakti. It's not about a development of prem towards bhakti. It's a stage and a stepping stone towards bhakti. 100%. Without Sharanagat, we can't begin. But at the same time, Sharanagat by itself, Srila Bhakti Rakshakshira Maharaj, I've described many times, describes it like just getting dressed. You have to get dressed to perform your daily activities, but getting dressed is not the principal purpose of life. But you have to get dressed to do your activities. So it's essential that Sharanagati is there, but it's not the focus, it's not the principle, it's not the purpose and aim and object of life. So in all of these stages, Ramananda Raya, he's giving shastric quotes. For in this Sharanagat, Sarvadhamma Parityaja, Mam Ekam Sharanam Braja, the last verse of Bhagavad Gita, for example. And then the next stage is Gyan Mishra Bhakti, that by following this stage of Gyan Kand, that I will achieve this devotion to Krishna. And Mahaprabhu rejects this. These are all divine stages, and we can study these for a long time. Of course, I want to keep this brief because we would like to get to our Jaiva Dharma. So I'm trying to go quickly, but it's It's too powerful a topic and a personality just to short circuit through. So I have to say something about him, because it builds into the personality of Ramananda Raya, who we're glorifying today. So after Gyan Mishra Bhakti comes Gyan Sunya Bhakti, when Gyan is expelled. And this is the beautiful verse. What's that? Gyane prayasam udapasya namanta eva. That all when I'm not depending on knowledge for devotion. It's just the devotional mood that I'm cultivating. This knowledge has no place there. Knowledge can be a support up to that place, and it's described that there are three types of knowledge. There's tat padartha gyan, which means knowledge of Krishna. Tat means everything that is in existence of the Brahman, of the cosmic manifestation. Tat, we say Ambu Bhuva Swa Tat. Tat means everything, the complete, that's Krishna. And then Tvam Padartha Gyan, which is knowledge of the Jiva. The Jiva is Anuchit, and Krishna is Vibhuchit, it's a complete whole. So this knowledge has to be understood. My infinitesimal nature, we've talked about this a lot in Jaiva Dhamma. This is just the basic principles of bhakti. And so from this stage, Mahaprabhu, he likes this stage, but still it's not sufficient. And then he comes to the stage of prem. So we've gone through 5 steps here, and we've come to prem. And this verse, Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati Katya, Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati Kriyatam Yatita Labhyate Tatra Lolyam Apimulyam Ekalam Janma Koti Shukritya Labhyate. This verse by Rupa Goswami is describing that wherever there is this, even a scent of this pure bhakti being practiced, then I should rush to that place. That greed, in other words. This verse capsulates the greed mood. Lolyam. Lolyam means greed. I become completely hungry, because this is the quality of Raganuga Bhakti.
This verse is by Rupa Goswami?
Rupa Goswami writes this verse. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati Kriyatam Yatita Labhyate.
Oh, not Ramananda Roy said it.
Huh?
It's not Ramananda Roy who said it?
Ramananda Raya is saying it.
Oh.
But, yes, interesting question. I just checked that. Because Ramananda Raya, well, this is Krishnadas Kaviraj is writing the Chaitanya Charitamrita after Rupa Goswami. So Krishnadas Kaviraj can be including that mood of what is the best verse to capsulate greed. It's not necessarily this verse, but it's a very good question. I never thought that before. Did you ever think that? Because definitely Rupa Goswami is after I'll just check this. Krishna Bhakti, Rasa Bhavitamati, page 13. Padyavali, yes, it's Rupa Goswami. It's Rupa Goswami. So what I'm understanding from this is what I've just said, that Krishnadas Kaviraj is giving us this, and he's bringing the praman from Rupa Goswami, even though Rupa Goswami wrote this afterwards, later. This wasn't written at the time. So very interesting point. That because we understand when we say Rupanugas, Ramananda Raya is not a Rupanuga. He's not following Rupa Goswami. Swarup Damodar is not following Rupa Goswami. They are Sakis. Rupa Goswami is a Manjari. All our line are Manjaris. So yes, so this is how I understand that. Good point. Very good. I never thought that before. Yes. So from this point on, then Ramananda Raya is saying that there's nothing much more that I can say than this, but still Mahaprabhu prompts him, and then he begins talking about Krishna Tattva, and then Radha Tattva, and then the relationship between Radha and Krishna, and then he begins to speak about the gopis. And I just wanted to briefly read a couple of verses here to show how essential this Ramananda Raya is, Samvad is to our focus, our attention, because we have to know we are in the mood of following the gopis. And if that's not cemented in our focus, how can we proceed on this path of Raganuga Bhakti? So on verse 215, I'm going to read verse 200. This Ramananda Raya is Madhya Lila, chapter 8, and I'm reading from verse 215. It is to be noted that the natural characteristic of the gopis is to love the Supreme Lord. Their lusty desire is not to be compared to material lust. These are huge points. Nevertheless, because their desire sometimes appears to resemble material lust, their transcendental love for Krishna is sometimes described as lust. We have to purify this conception and understand it deeply. These are all Krishna's Shaktis. They're all his transcendental, eternal energies that are manifesting as gopis for his pleasure exclusively. Shakti is totally dependent on Shaktiman. Shaktiman is Krishna, and the Shakti is fully dependent on fulfilling the desires of Shaktiman. That's her only purpose, is to fill the desires of Krishna. So the gopis are in this category. So certainly they have no attraction for this material, but the conditioned souls, he only can think of this. So it's manifesting like that to perhaps, first of all, attract the conditioned souls. And when the conditioned souls become attracted to these pastimes, just by hearing these pastimes, the potency of these pastimes, we have this verse, Vikriditam brajavatubi echamcha Vishnu, Shradan Vitu Nushunyat Artavarenyam Ya, Bhaktim Param Bhagavati Rakti Labya, Karmam, Hridrogam Asav Apinoti Acharena, Vikriditam, this verse. And this means that by hearing these pastimes, the heart is automatically purified, and then bhakti will come. Not that we try to purify the heart separately, independently, and then the pastimes come. Not in that way. This is a big, big point. First of all, we hear, whatever our unqualified condition is, we hear these pastimes. And by simply hearing those powerful pastimes, Vikriditam Brajavadubi Itamta Vishnu, with faith, Shradan Vito, then an inspiration will come to be attracted to serve Radha and Krishna once we hear. But if we don't hear these pastimes, how are you ever going to practice bhakti? If you don't hear these pastimes first. So in this way, so it appears that they are of a lusty nature, the gopis past, because the conditioned souls can relate to that. But as soon as they come to appreciate the real depth of their prem, then those lusty thoughts are quickly purified, completely forever. Because this bhaktim param bhagavati prati labhya, this bhakti will rise in the heart. And as soon as that devotion rises in the heart, then the material lusty mood has no place that's for something in the nimitic, in the material, has no connection with transcendence whatsoever. So Krishna's Kaviraj is making this point. Then he says in verse 216, the dealings of the gopis with Krishna are on the platform of pure love of Godhead, yet they are sometimes considered to be lusty. This is what we're saying. But because such dealings are completely spiritual, Uddhav and all other dearmost devotees of the Lord desire to participate in them. Why would these renunciants want to hear about these pastimes if they were anything to do with material lust at all? So we should understand this clearly. Lusty desires are experienced when one is concerned with his own personal sense gratification. It's really obvious because we've been studying in Jaivedam. This is a description more or less of what is Shuddha Bhakti, what is Prem. This is in the Prem section here. It's gone past Radha Bhav, it's gone past Radha Tattva, it's gone past Krishna Tattva, and we've come to describe the gopis. The gopis are essential because in this conversation, Mahaprabhu is receiving Gopi Bhav from the association with Vishaka. When Radhika is on the planet in Vrindavan, her two principal Sakhis, Lalita and Vishaka, are completely supporting her journey into this connection with Krishna entirely. Without Lalita and Vishaka, Radha and Krishna would not meet. And without Madhu Mangal and Subal from Krishna's side, they wouldn't meet. Radha's bhav is so powerful and strong. She's in the body of a 14 and a half, 15-year-old girl. And they really are in these bodies for their pastimes. It's described as mugdata. They don't know that they are completely spiritual person. Otherwise, the pastimes wouldn't have a reality to them. So Yogamaya has covered their consciousnesses because they want to perform these pastimes in this parakiya mood. This parakiya mood is so exceptional. So Radharani could not meet Krishna without the intervention of Vishaka and Lalita Sakhi completely. So this is Vishaka that we're talking about today, Ramananda Raya. So he's so essential for Mahaprabhu's opening up this treasure chest of Radha Bhav, which he's come to taste. He's come to taste this, Shiradaya Pranaya Mahima. He's come to taste the glories of Radha's love. He can only do it through this Sakhi Bhav himself. He's taken Radha's Bhav and Kanti, and he wants to taste that, experience that. So he has to have that. Krishna makes these remarkable divine arrangements where it's so sedantically placed for the conditioned souls to follow carefully in the footsteps of these personalities. You can't, nothing is speculative, nothing is just by chance. So Krishna himself, as Mahaprabhu, he comes and he's meeting the Sakhi, Vishaka, who's going to give him in his heart this mood of Radha Bhav. It's going to wake him up, remind him of that nature. Because when he leaves this Godavari, then he's already beginning to taste full Radha Bhav. Not full yet, because when he goes back to Puri, Ramananda Raya and Swarup Damodar, who is Lalita, these are his two most confidential associates the whole time through his Puri sojourn, his stay in Puri. Gadadhar, who is directly Radhika, doesn't come into that confidential circle because she can't. Because Mahaprabhu is trying to taste Radha's Bhav. But if Radharani is sitting there, how can that actually happen? Radharani will prompt by reading the Srimad Bhagavatam daily at Tota Gopinath. Mahaprabhu will get great inspiration from that and recite those same verses with Lalita and Vishaka at night in the Gambhira with Ramananda Raya and Swarup Damodar. But Gadadhar can never come there. So these two personalities.
You mean you say when Krishna arranges it, but I'm interpreting that as Yogamaya arranges it.
Yes, correct,
like
correct. Yes, we can say that.
Yogamaya.
Krishna simply desires everything.
Yes.
And Yogamaya, who is actually Radharani ultimately, she is making all these absolutely pure arrangements.
And here it's like putting the key in.
Yes.
Open the door.
Yes, absolutely,
Mahaprabhu.
absolutely. This is why it's such an important occasion to glorify Ramananda Raya. This is why, even though I'm really anxious to reach our Jaiva Dhamma study, I just don't know how we can just walk across this sacred day and expect that our Jaiva Dhamma, the precepts are going to be successful without glorifying this particular associate today. By glorifying these personalities, don't doubt for a second, their mercy will descend on these sacred days. If you just say the name Ramananda Raya today, only today, and on his Avirbhav day, this is the tirobhava day, mercy will come. It's the same with all these personalities, because it's like a special window opens. And if these personalities, there is no death for these personalities. He reasons ill who tells that Vaishnavas die when thou art living still in sound. These personalities are eternally present. But we are so dull-brained. We are so foolish. We're not tuned and aware sufficiently. But on these sacred days, if we remember these personalities, their mercy will pour down in different ways for all different unique individuals. They will come. So in this Ramananda Sambad, this particular section that I wanted to read today, because I think it's so important to have it very, very clear that our path is to follow the gopis. So he's saying, among the gopis, there is not a pinch of desire for sense gratification. Their only desire is to give pleasure to Krishna, and this is why they mingle with him and enjoy with him. This is the beautiful divine writings of Krishna's Kaviraj. All the gopis said, Dear Krishna, we carefully hold your delicate lotus feet upon our hard breasts. When you walk in the forest, your soft lotus feet are pricked by small bits of stone. We fear that this is paining you. Since you are our life and soul, our minds are very disturbed when your lotus feet are pinched. This beautiful verse, this is the very end of what? Gopi Gita. Yate Sujata Charanam Braham Sada. And then there are many verses here glorifying. Therefore, one should accept the mood of the gopis in their service. We are following in the footsteps of the gopis. We are in the anugatya of, they are teaching us, just like Vishaka. Why did Mahaprabhu, it's described that Mahaprabhu is like the ocean, and Ramananda Raya is like a cloud that has come from the ocean. Clouds, they come from the ocean, from the water that has come, evaporated from the ocean. And then that cloud is again showering the purified rain back onto the head of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is filled with the jewels of these Siddhantas that are in this dialogue. Ramananda Raya is being inspired to pour these jewels onto the body, onto the head of Mahaprabhu. But Mahaprabhu is the baseline. Mahaprabhu is that ocean, and the water has come from that ocean into the cloud. Then the cloud has poured its purified rain back into the ocean. That's how we see it. So all these truths are coming back. This is the medium. Mahaprabhu is inspiring. Ramananda Raya says, I'm just like a puppet and you are pulling the strings. I'm saying whatever there. So he's inspiring these truths to come out. So Mahaprabhu himself is actually inspiring these truths, but it's through the mouthpiece of Vishaka, or through Ramananda Raya, that these truths are emanating. And these truths are for all time, for the sadhaks to really imbibe. He says, therefore one should accept the mood of the gopis in their service. In such a transcendental mood, one should always think of the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. The gopis are always serving Radha and Krishna. What does this unnata ujjvala prem mean in this verse, anapita chirim chira? This unnata ujjvala prem is the prem that Radha and Krishna are relishing between themselves. And for the sadhak, we have service to that mood. And that service comes from the direction of the gopis. But even more than that, we have the manjari bhav that is being gifted to us from Mahaprabhu. This is not describing so much of the manjari bhav, it's describing the gopis. But we have to bring it into the same channel. Without the gopis sitting directing, Lalita Saki and Vishaka Saki, they are like the leaders of all the other gopis. And they are directing how to serve Radha and Krishna, how to give them the most pleasure. And they are getting so much pleasure from that. After thinking of Radha and Krishna and their pastimes for a long time, and after getting completely free from material contamination, one is transferred to the spiritual world. There the devotee attains an opportunity to serve Radha and Krishna as one of the gopis. But actually, specifically, that would be, Sambhog Ichamai. which means having a direct relationship with him. But that is not what Mahaprabhu has come to give. Mahaprabhu has come to give Manjari Bhav, which is service to Sri Radhika, which is different. If you want this Gopi Bhav, Sakhi Bhav exclusively, you must find a Sakhi who is realized in that Bhav. And my Gurudev used to say that he didn't know any Sakhis who were actually in that Bhav at this time. All our Gaudiya line are all Manjaris. So we can access Manjari Bhav. That's called Tad Bhav Ichamai, as opposed to Sambhog. Sambhog means meeting. Ichamai means desire. So understand the distinction here. So it's very subtle. So Ramananda, this is saying one thing, but we are understanding another parallel at the same time as reading this. You understand what I'm saying? Yes? Unless one follows in the footsteps of the gopis, he cannot attain the service of the lotus feet of Krishna. Is someone going to argue with that? Is that going to be put up for sort of debate? It's saying directly, are we accepting Krishna as Kaviraj, as our master, as all the acharyas have done previously? Or do we think he was just sort of perhaps, saying something for somebody else? He's saying clearly, I'll read it again. Unless one follows in the footsteps of the gopis, he cannot attain the service of the lotus feet of Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj. If one is overcome by knowledge of the Lord's opulence, he cannot attain the Lord's lotus feet, even though he is engaged in devotional service. What does that mean? Clearly. Vaikuntha Bhav is not going to satisfy Krishna. If you're just concerned with all the rules and regulations, etc., and then you want liberation, those four, Salokya, Samipya, Sharasti, Sarupya, that is basically what is Vaikuntha Bhav about, right? In Vaikuntha, you can't hardly sweep anything. It's all cleaned by the Lakshmis, or by Lakshmi Devi. There's only one Lakshmi Devi. Whereas in Goloka Vrindavan, there's thousands. All these gopis are Lakshmi Devis. Actually, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes there are 300 billion. In other words, it's achintya. Always it's achintya. Don't try to calculate it with our tiny material intelligence. Let it go beyond the sky. Let it go, be broad. See, yes, I am very small, and this is very full. I am Anuchit. Krishna is Puna.
This is from chapter 8 here already?
Yes, chapter 8, Madhya Lila. The unspoken example in this connection is the goddess of fortune, who worshipped Lord Krishna in order to attain his pastimes in Vrindavan. But due to her opulent lifestyle, she could not attain the service of Krishna in Vrindavan. She's still there in Belvan. We go to Belvan every year across the river. And Lakshmi Devi is still there trying to enter. And one time Purnamasi says, oh yes, you can come, but first, can you make cow patties? Oh, I've never made before. Can you cheat on your husband? Oh, no. Cheat on my husband? No, that's not in my DNA. I can't do like that. This is Lakshmi Devi. These are potent personalities, like the demigods. The demigods are dharmic personalities entirely. And where is their destination? If they follow Brihaspati, is the Brahman, or back into this earthly plane. They don't go to the transcendental world. They can't, because they have so much Aishwarya. They are very important people. When you look at Suryadev, he's driving his chariot with 7 horses. He has thousands of personalities worshipping him daily. He is an extraordinary, great personality, Vivishwan. And you look at Chandra, the moon. He's such an important personality. All of vegetation is manifesting by his potency. These are powerful personalities. And they know that they're powerful personalities because they have a powerful service to Vishnu to perform. But they don't fall in love with Vishnu. They fall in love with the conception of they want to be liberated from this whole material cosmic manifestation in the form of the Brahman realization. They don't want bhakti. That's not. Like Indradev, we've said so many times. He surrenders in Govardhan, and then a few weeks later, Krishna comes and says, "Can I have a parijat flower?" Indradev says no. So try to understand these points. When Lord Krishna was dancing with the gopis in Rasa Leela, the gopis were embraced around the neck by the Lord's arms. This transcendental favor was never enjoyed by the goddess of fortune or other consorts in the spiritual world, nor was such a thing ever imagined by the most beautiful girls from the heavenly planets, whose bodily luster and aroma exactly resembles a lotus flower. What to speak of worldly women who are very beautiful according to material estimation. Not even Lakshmi Dev had this affection that the gop. This is why Lakshmi Dev wants to enter. All these truths are what Ramananda Raya is revealing in this Sangvad. I'm going to read a little bit more because it's just too beautiful. After hearing this, the Lord, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, embraced Ramananda Raya, and both of them, embracing shoulder to shoulder, began to cry. So now it goes into a series of beautiful questions that Mahaprabhu is asking. He asks at one point, what is the nature of this prema vivart? And Ramananda Raya, he starts to speak that, and Mahaprabhu covers his mouth. No, don't, that's too confidential. You've come far enough. So this Sangvad is the very heartbeat of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And after this conversation, then Mahaprabhu requests Ramananda Raya to immediately come back to Puri and spend the rest of his life with Mahaprabhu. And this personality, Ramananda Raya, besides giving this to Mahaprabhu, and besides establishing our whole focus on our whole path of where we're going, was such a exemplary personality as far as renunciation is concerned. He would bathe and ornament and put oil on the bodies of young, very attractive young girls with his own hand, and not even be moved slightly materially, totally immersed in his seva of training them up to dance for Lord Jagannath. We have the beautiful pastime of Pradumna Mishra. Pradumna Mishra wanted to know about rasa. Mahaprabhu is so merciful to these types of devotees. He says, no, I don't know any rasa. You go and speak to Ramananda Raya. He knows all rasa. So Pradumna Mishra, he goes to the house of Ramananda Raya, and the servant says, oh, please wait. And he's waiting for a long time. Then he asks the servant, what is Ramananda Raya doing? Oh, he's bathing these young Devi Dasis. He's training them up to dance. He wrote this beautiful Jagannath Balaba Nataka, this beautiful drama with all the very subtle nuances of the bringing out the most beautiful rasas between Radha and Krishna. He writes this beautiful drama. And so he's training these girls how to have the right facial expressions, how to have the right moods, the right heart. If they're going to be good, they've got to be completely immersed in this. And he's putting all this oil on them. And Mahaprabhu, he says afterwards, he says, Ramananda Raya is like wood. It makes no difference to him whatsoever. He's completely detached from that. And there isn't another person that's described in the same way like this to that degree. So if anyone tries to imitate something like that, they are doomed. It's like trying to imitate Lord Shiva drinking the hala hala poison. So, but Ramananda Raya, this is his greatness. He has so much qualities that are great, but this particular point is such a powerful example of his glory that he can do like this. So Ramananda Raya is so scholarly, and he's so astute in his writings of drama, etc. And there's a beautiful example in the Antya Leela, chapter 1, when Rupa Goswami is presenting his Vidagdha Madhav and his Lalita Madhav. And it's Ramananda Raya in the assembly with Nityananda and Advaita Acharya, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Mahaprabhu is sitting there, Haridas Thakur is sitting there, Bhakrishra Pandit, many senior, all the senior devotees are there. And it's Ramananda Rai who's questioning Rupa Goswami about the intricacies of the drama that he's writing. He's asking him, is it in this mood or is it in this mood? All very technical terms about drama, demonstrating his own knowledge of how to construct a transcendental drama. And Rupa Goswami responds, knowing all of the answers to this. So we understand that Rupa Goswami is also completely versed in this knowledge of dramatic arts, all the alankas, the abharanas, etc., everything that goes into presenting a drama for the pleasure of the Lord, for the pleasure of Lord Jagannath, because these Devis would dance, would sing the Gita Govinda, and Jagannath would be in complete ecstasy. Mahaprabhu also, he heard the Gita Govinda being sung and also was in ecstasy. So these two personalities, Ramananda Roy and Swarup Damodar. But Ramananda Roy is the older personality. He lives in the home and he comes every day to spend his time and his whole life with Mahaprabhu, supporting Mahaprabhu's desire to taste this Radha Bhav. So I think today, if we want seriously to taste this Radha Bhav, we must take shelter of Ramananda Rai and his teachings. And here, because finally, when they were, just to flash back for a minute to Godavari, at the very end, this pastime is not described as being Madhurya. It's actually, even though these descriptions are fully Madhurya, but the actual pastime has some Aishwarya aspect to it. Navadvip Dham is full Madhurya. It's when Mahaprabhu is in his full mood of like a family man as Nimai Pandit, and then later Nimai the scholar rather, and then later on as Nimai the devotee. But it's all very familiar moods with all the personalities here. But in Puri, it's very Aishwarya, ultimately, because everyone is honoring Mahaprabhu. He's squirting tears from his eyes like syringes, etc. He's exhibiting these forms like when he tastes these bhavs, becomes like a pumpkin, or he goes in the ocean. But at Godavari, right at the very end, he reveals to Ramananda Roy, the only person he reveals this form to, of this Mahabhav, this Rasaraj Mahabhav. When Ramananda Roy, he's seeing Radharani in front, this golden form of Radharani, and he's seeing the blackish Krishna behind. He's seeing that Krishna has covered himself with the mood of Radhika. This is the only darshan that's described of this nature. So this is Aishwarya. This is not Madhurya. Because Krishna is showing his Godhead, and Radhika also, even though it's a completely rasic understanding and vision, it's still considered Aishwarya, just like Krishna's four-armed form or Sadbhuj form, etc., that he shows to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. These different Aishwarya forms. So certainly this Rasaraj Mahabhav, this is an Aishwarya form that he's showing his identity to Ramananda Roy at the Godavari. So there are so many descriptions actually about Ramananda Roy. If you go to Puri now, you can find his house. His house is there near Alalanath. This is where he was born, in a village near Alalanath, which is just a few miles out of Puri. And his house is there, and there are books that he's written there, many books that he's written there, that you can look at, the beautiful handwriting, like Rupa Goswami or like Mahaprabhu's handwriting. There's Mahaprabhu's handwriting at Denur, just here, a few hundred miles from here, when his Mahaprabhu's his Bhagavad Gita is there, and Mahaprabhu has written different comments besides the verses, and you can see Mahaprabhu's own beautiful handwriting, very small, very fine and beautiful. So this handwriting of Ramananda Raya was like that. Mahaprabhu commented that Rupa Goswami's writing was like rows of jewels, pearls. His writings was like pearls. So their whole hearts are just filled with beauty and sweetness. This is who these personalities, they've come from the spiritual world, and they exhibit part of that spirituality in this world for us to appreciate, especially on days like today when we can hear the extent of their pastimes, particularly the influence that Ramananda Roy had on Krishna tasting this Radha Bhav. If Krishna didn't have Ramananda Roy and Swarup Damodar, he would not be able to access this Radha Bhav. He would not be supported in that mood of being like Radhika. It's only because Lalita and Vishaka are there again, as they were in Braj Leela. They have come again as Swarup Damodar and Ramananda Roy to take Krishna into this appreciation of the moods, because Radharani's moods are higher than Krishna's moods. Krishna only experiences Mahabhav. Radharani, she experiences Rudha and Adirudha Mahabhav, which is huge degrees of bliss, much more than Krishna experiences. So Krishna wants to taste that bliss within himself that Radhika is tasting. Understand these things? It's very beautiful. There's 8 Ashtasattvika bhavs. And when these bhavs begin to blaze, when 5 of them are in what's called Sudipta, when they're fully blazing, that is called Rudha Adibhav. Adi Rudha Bhav. And then the next stage is, that's Rudhas, sorry. The next stage is Adi Rudha, when all 8 Ashtasattvika bhavs are fully blazing. A Sattvika bhav is when the very elements of the body become surcharged with spiritual emotion, that they cannot be contained. There's Anubhavs and Sattvika bhavs. Anubhavs are different. They're not on the same level as Sattvika bhav. So this is just an example, technically, we can appreciate. So when Mahaprabhu is in the Gambhira, he's experienced these Mohan Mahabhav, this mood in separation, because Mohan in separation is exactly the same as the Madan in meeting. It's the same intensity and degree of bliss. In Madanakya Mahabhav, there are 8 blazing Sattvika bhavs. In Mohan Mahabhav, there are 8 blazing Sattvika bhavs. So they're both the same intensity. So we have Madan, Mohan. We talk, Madan Mohan is here on our altar. Madan Mohan. This is meeting and separation. So Mahaprabhu particularly is tasting this Mohan Mahabhav in the Gambhira. And he cannot do that without Ramananda Roy. So Ramananda Roy is the most exceptional, beautiful personality of Vishaka. Vishaka is born at the same moment as Radhika. The same moment. Lalita Saki is 26 days older, but Vishaka is the same moment as Radhika. They are like twins, practically. And they have such different, individual, unique qualities. Vishaka is full of poetic sweetness and softness and gentleness. And Lalita Devi, she's strong, pragalbha, which is for the pastime perfect. She'll chastise Krishna, she'll chastise Radhika, both of them at the same time, to bring them together, to inflame the relationship, to bring the relationship without her and without the softness and sweetness of Vishaka. Sometimes Krishna looks to Vishaka, help me, help me. Lalita's been very heavy with Radhika and heavy with Krishna, and Krishna will turn to Vishaka to, soften something here. So, extraordinary relationships. You had a question?
Yeah. When the Manjaris, they feel, it is said they feel the same thing
Tadatmika.
as Radharani.
Yes.
So
Well, this is described in here also.
in the same chapter.
Yes.
So do they feel also these high
Yes.
sabhavs of
Yes.
Radharani?
Absolutely. when they're in association with her. Exactly like he's asking about, I'm saying it for the people because they didn't hear your question, these moods that the manjaris experience, do they experience the same? Madanakya Mahabhav. Yes. And it's called tadatmik. When you put the iron into the fire takes this, the iron takes the same qualities as the fire. It burns, it goes red, it smokes, etc. But the iron will stay like that as long as it's in the fire. But if you take the iron out, if the manjaris are not associating with Radha and Krishna, they won't taste that Madanakya Mahabhav. But when they're associating in service to Krishna, the manjaris are there during the Ras Leela. They're doing, so many services have to be performed. Always there. This, it's called bhavolas, this mood, or kinkari. Kinkari means, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? That's what the word kinkari, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? How can I do? You know, just always this inquiry, what can I do? This enthusiastic desire to please and serve. Kim karom yaham. This is what Madhavendra Puri, he, at the end of his life, he chanted this beautiful Ai Dina Daya Dinatahe Maturanath Kadabalokite Sridayam Tvat Aloka Kataram Dayita Brahmyate Kim Karom Yaham. Madhavendra Puri is chanting this Kim Karom Yaham. And this is before Mahaprabhu advented. So that mood of the kinkari is there in Madhavendra Puri also. So Ramananda Raya Ki Jai. Thank you, and apologies to our Jaiva Dharma, but we'll quickly take it up tomorrow for sure. But I'm happy that I took the time. I wasn't sure today whether I was just going to do this or we were going to do it briefly, but actually there is so much more to say about Ramananda Raya. But we'll sit with that today. But please, on my website, if you know my website, bvtridandi.com, there's 3 nice files about Ramananda Raya. There's a number 1 and number 2 and a number 3. In number 1, it's got the list in order of all the different answers that he gives to Mahaprabhu, one after the other. It's very exact. It's in 3 pages. You can print it and have it on your hand in a sheet. And then in the next one, it's more extensive with more verses. And in the third one, it's the whole of the Ramananda Raya Samvad, in a document that you can print out like I have here. This little book you can carry with you. You don't have to carry the whole Chaitanya Charitamrita. You can just carry one simple copy. And this is the Ramananda Raya Samvad total. So that copy is there on the website. Three copies. So Ramananda Raya Ki Jai, Sachinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai, Radha Bhav Ki Jai, Gopi Bhav Ki Jai, Gopi Prem Ki Jai, Go Premanandi, Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Go Premanandi, Ramananda Raya Ki Jai, Go Premanandi, Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai, Hari Bol. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhu Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavena Namo.